Hare Krishna. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam series. We will start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय okay. 1 second. If anyone wants to recite or repeat after, please let me know. We can do lead follow, otherwise I'll just recite. So first, our gratitude and obeisances to Sri Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, and Sri Suta Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishis. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamah Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, once again, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. We will continue with our discussion on the killing of Dantavakra. And this, more than the killing of Dantavakra, as we have been discussing in the last few weeks, we are going into some of the deeper aspects of the pastimes of Sri Krishna and his return to Vraj or Vrindavan after a very long time. So this is his return to Vraj, and we had discussed last time that he delivers, or he wound up the pastimes in Sri Vrindavan Dham after his spending his 2 months in Vrindavan after the killing of Dantavakra. So the winding up pastimes of Sri Vrindavan Dham are not mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Or are they? Any idea?
Prabhuji, it was in some purport I reading, but it was a BBT purport, but I can't remember like a verse that directly mentions it.
Yeah, so it is definitely there in the purport. Let me show. I need to share. So we are in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. It's right here in this chapter, 78. And the 16th verse has an extremely long purport, as you can see here. And right here, it is mentioned somewhere. Can you see anywhere?
Yeah, Prabhuji, then he withdrew his Vraja.
Yes. Yes. See this line? From then he, at the end of 2 months, why don't you read this, Mataji, if okay with you?
Ji, Prabhuji. Then, at the end of 2 months, he withdrew his Vraja pastimes from mundane eyes by taking the demigod portions of his parents and other relatives and friends to Vaikuntha. The
Bas.
Ji.
And there also it is mentioned here. So much of this is taken from Sri Jiva Goswami's commentary. And also we had discussed same things in Gopal Champu. So you can read this also, Mataji.
Ji, Prabhuji. Thus, in one complete plenary manifestation, he went to Golok in the spiritual world. In another, he remained perpetually enjoying in Vraja while invisible to material eyes. And in yet another, he mounted his chariot and returned alone to Dwarka.
Yeah, so last week or whenever we discussed last, we discussed this Krishna kind of, you can say, trifurcated himself. We say bifurcate, so trifurcate. I mean, he didn't divide himself, but it's like, he manifested himself in 3 parts. In one part, he stayed in Vraja. In another, he went back along with the Vrajavasis to Vaikuntha or to Golok Dham. And in the third manifestation, he went back alone to Dwarka to do other pastimes in Dwarka and wind up the Leelas in Dwarka. So this is what we had. So it is here in the purport, yes. But then the question is that it is described here also. Much of this is taken from Sri Jiva Goswami, that why is the winding up of Vraj pastimes, is it or is it not? That's a question to you all. Mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam in the verses. Is it mentioned? So what do you think? The answer is more or less obvious because this question is being asked. Shamlila Mataji, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know if it's a trick question, but I cannot remember it being mentioned anywhere from what I read.
Right. And because the question is being asked, the answer is yeah, it's not. If it was there, then, nobody would ask the question like, is the killing of Kamsa mentioned in Bhagavatam? It's very obvious. It's there, front and center. Or Govardhan pastime. But winding up of Vrindavan pastime is not mentioned. Now, winding up of the Dwarka pastimes is mentioned, and for the Yadus, and here in the purport, it is also written, I think, that so by the way, this pastime that he wound up his pastimes in Vrindavan and sent all the Vrajavasis to Goloka to the Goloka Vaikuntha planet, is mentioned in Padma Purana. I think it might be written here somewhere, but if it is not written, then we can see, in the passage of Padma Purana. So that I think all these paragraphs are, continuing that description of also. So the winding up of Dwarka pastimes and all the Vrishnis and Yadus, how do they end their pastimes? By that whole, what is known as the Mausala Lila, that is mentioned here, where they killed each other and all. So that is a very violent way to end the pastime of the Yadus, and that is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the reason why, so Parikshit Maharaj kind of is very close to, obviously he has heard about the Vrajavasis. He never saw them because they had already left by that time. But he obviously is very close with the Yadus, and he knows how they came to an end, how they met their end. And he would not be able to bear the pain knowing that they met such a violent end, whereas the Vrajavasis met such a glorious ending where the Lord enjoyed with them, reunited with them after so many decades or so many years, and had 2 months full of wonderful Leela, and then sent them to the spiritual world. He may not be able to tolerate or understand that. So, and that's what is written here, and that's the reason Shukadev Goswami skips that portion from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sri Jiva Goswami writes that because it is not present in Srimad Bhagavatam as to how the Vraj Leela was wound up, the version of Padma Purana is to be considered as the final word on it, which means this whole pastime of him entering, Lord Krishna entering Vraja, spending 2 months and all that is to be considered as good as or as authoritative as Srimad Bhagavatam. This is coming directly from the pen of Sri Jiva Goswami. So we should have no doubt on that. His word is as good as the word of Sridhar Swami or Shukadev Goswami in our sampradaya. Now, then the question comes again. Now, by the way, if you all have that doubt that why is it like that, one should also look at the other side. We talked about this, I think, last time also, that we should not forget the intense separation that the Vrajavasis encountered. They did have 2 months of wonderful Leela at the end with Krishna of union, and then they all went back to the spiritual world. But they spent so many decades in separation, which the Yadus did not. So it kind of, at least with our material mindset, we feel that we can see that it kind of balances out. You get some, you lose some. So that can help. That understanding at a material level can help. We will go deep into this concept today. We'll unpack many things so this whole Dantavakra, maybe I will change the title, is not the topic anymore. It's a very famous pastime of killing of Dantavakra, primarily because it leads to all the subsequent activities or events. The Leela unfolds after the killing of or death of Dantavakra. So that's why Dantavakra becomes famous. Okay. Where were we? Yeah. So that's how one can balance in their mind the position of Vrajavasis and Yadus, even though both are very dear to Sri Krishna. Now we come back to the question, is the leaving or the winding up of Vrindavan Vraj pastimes mentioned directly in Srimad Bhagavatam or not? And what is the answer? The answer is that it is not mentioned directly in Srimad Bhagavatam. or is it? So here, I think this is pointed out by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. There is one word, again, there's a lot of play in one word. There's one word plays in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So like we said, does Krishna come again and again, or does he at all come to Vraj in as per Srimad Bhagavatam verses? Yes, he comes, right? Which canto?
First canto.
Which you must remember now, which verse?
11:9. 1:11:9.
So must always remember that verse. So similarly, there is a verse which is just prior to this one. Yes. So you see this just previous verse. This is the 15th verse, 10.78.15. Okay. So what does it say? It says, Vritascha Vrishni Parivarair viveśa alankritam purim. Okay, so those are the last two lines. Vritascha Vrishni Parivarai. So Krishna, so if you see the translation, after the killing of Dantavakra, so nothing is mentioned here, okay? Shalu Mataji, could you please kindly read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Having thus destroyed Shalva and his Saab airship along with Dantavakra and his younger brother, all of whom were invincible before any other opponent, the Lord was praised by demigods, human beings, and great sages, by Siddhas, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, and Mahoragas, and also by Apsaras, Pithas, Yakshas, Kinnaras, and Charanas. As they sang his glories and showered him with flowers, the Supreme Lord entered his festively decorated capital city in the company of the most eminent Vrishnis.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So anywhere, Mataji, here you see anything else? After the killing, what happens according to this verse?
It's just said that everybody was singing stuti in his glory, and then he just entered back into the Dwarka with some Vrishnis with him.
And Vrishnis are the
Vrishnis will be the
Yadus.
The Dwarka residents.
Yes. Any mention of Vrindavan or Vraj here?
No, Prabhuji.
Not at all, isn't it?
No.
Or is it?
Not per my understanding, whichever.
Not my understanding either. Not per my understanding either. Only as per Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who has a very, very, very careful reading of this and a very sweet reading of this. So he says in the last, so it is there in this verse, it is there. Okay. Somewhere hidden. Again, it's not as obvious as 1.11.9, where it is written Kurun and Madhun, that whenever you go to Hastinapur or Vrindavan. So that one is more like direct and it's hard to miss, more or less. But because it is in the first canto, that one, it's hard to sometimes connect it to the 10th canto. That's why it gets missed. Here it's really hidden, really hidden. And the last two lines are Vritascha Vrishni Parivarair, which means that along with, or Vrita means surrounded by, which means, he's returning with a group of his, family members of Vrishni Parivar, his whole family of Vrishnis. Viveśa alankritam purim. Viveśa. He entered. What is viveśa? Let's see the word by word. He entered. Vivesh. Alankritam means decorated. Puri. Puri means Dwarka Puri. Okay, so what is, Hindi, Mataji, Shalu Mataji, obviously. What is Pravesh? Pravesh.
Pravesh means to enter, get inside the place.
And what is written here? Vivesh?
Vivesh, yeah, it's different.
What is different?
I don't know the meaning of it. It sounds like it's opposite of Pravesh.
No. It's not opposite of Pravesh. It is written here, entered.
Yeah.
So Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and this is the emphasis is not Pravesh means he entered.
Hmm.
Vivesh means he ultimately entered or he finally entered. Okay.
Okay. That's kind of the last time that he entered, and then he's never going back.
He finally entered means or ultimately, or like after doing few other things, then he entered.
Okay.
Vivesh, are you following? So after killing Dantavakra, finally he entered. Not finally means last time. Finally means like, how should I say, like, you're following? बाकी और कई सारे काम निपटा के, after finishing many other duties which are not mentioned here, finally, matlab, like, you're saying, no, I will come by 2 o'clock. And finally you arrive at 5 o'clock, 3 hours late. Why are you 3 hours late? You said you will come at 2 o'clock. You are coming at 5 o'clock. I had so many 3 other things came up and I had to finish all that business and then come. So I'm late. So that vivesha means he finally, I don't, can anybody maybe suggest a better way to say it?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी अंत तो गत्वा.
हाँ, हिंदी में नहीं, इंग्लिश में मैं बोल रहा हूँ.
अच्छा.
How to say, after finishing few other duties, then he ultimately entered Dwarka. So in that word vivesh, everything happened. All this going to Vraja and sending all the Vrajavasis and all that. After finishing all of that, finally he comes to Dwarka.
I get it, Prabhuji. So that means it's kind of shown that after killing, then he had something else to do, which he did, and then
Finally, sab kuch.
So what he did was hidden.
Sab kaam nipta ke.
Hmm.
So after wrapping up few other important tasks, which included sending all the Vrajavasis to Vaikuntha or Golokudham. So that is how it is mentioned here within the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Shri Jiva Goswami says that the version of Padma Purana is supposed to be taken as authoritative. Okay. So now we go into the topic of separation with the Vrajavasis. So the Vrajavasis suffered a lot due to separation from Sri Krishna. Now, many of you have done Bhakti Shastri. As part of Bhakti Shastri, there is this very famous verse. I will show it. It's the verse 1.2.233. If you remember 234, anybody remembers 234? What verse is 234? It was a memorization verse. You all
Prabhuji,
forgot.
was it Ata Sri Krishna Namadi?
Ata Sri Krishna Namadi. So 234 was supposed to be memorized along with verse number. So that is the verse, and this is the verse just prior to that one. Okay, so we will deal with both of these verses today. So the point we are trying to discuss is the separation of Sri Krishna with the Vrajavasis. And this whole episode that we are discussing is the union part, which is not there in Bhagavatam, but he spent 2 months in Vrindavan with the Vrajavasis. So that is the union, which was preceded by a very, very long separation. So let's go to that discussion. So again, I'll share the screen and we will discuss those 2 verses. So the first verse, the verse before that, 233, I don't have BRS to kind of show it here, but it is also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So let's go to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Most of these important verses of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu are included in Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. So it's in Madhya. Chaitanya Charitamrita was written after Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was written. Okay, so it's not that Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is taking verses from Chaitanya Charitamrit, it's the other way around. Sri Rupa Goswami composed the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu first, later on Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami composed the Chaitanya Charitamrit. So it's in Madhya Lila and 17th chapter 133. So this is the first verse. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purnaha Shuddho Nitya Mukto Bhinnatvam Nama Namino. So what is the main point being discussed here in this verse? Who can say? We have discussed one line of this verse many times. What's the main punchline of this verse?
Nitya Mukta Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukta. No, it's not Nitya Yukta. No.
Anybody?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी
Yeah.
नाम और नामी में कोई भेद नहीं है, ऐसा है क्या लास्ट लाइन में जो है?
हाँ, इसमें भिन्नत्वम है, लेकिन इसके आगे अपॉस्ट्रोफी लगा हुआ है
जी.
Apostrophe, so it means abhinnatvam. So if you see the word by word, so you are totally correct. Abhinna, the name and the namee, or the nama and nami, they are abhinna. Abhinnatvam nama namino. That there is no, this is a very important verse, and it this is from the Padma Purana as well. It shows that there is no difference between nama and nami. And this verse, and then the next one also, Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai sevon mukhe hi jivhado sfuram swayam swayam eva sfuratyadaha. So that verse is, we'll discuss that one. So these two are, this is 233, that one is 234. So this is basic, and these both these verses and few others are in the section of the limb of bhakti called Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, to chant the name, Nam, Rupa, Guna, Lila, but mainly the Nam of Sri Krishna, the chanting of the name. So the potency of the name is being shown here, and in this verse, the fact that is being shown here is that the Nam and the Nami is non-different. And you have heard this, anybody who comes to Krishna consciousness within 2 weeks, he will be told that there is no difference between Krishna and his holy name. I'm sure all of you have been told that in the very beginning. And that is what it is said. This is the last line, is this is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. Abhinnatvan nama namino. Now, then the question becomes, okay, so is it clear? Now the question becomes that the gopis were experiencing separation from Sri Krishna, isn't it? But can they take the name of Krishna while they are experiencing separation? Yes or no? Yes. And the name is non-different from Krishna, and they can take the name anytime. Then where is the separation? Why would they be burning in the fire of separation? Is the logic making sense? Is my line of thought making sense? Or the line of question is making sense? Why are they experiencing the suffering or the pain of separation if they can take the name at any time? And they are taking the name of Krishna. It's not that they were not taking. All the time they were taking the name of Krishna. And name is not different from Krishna. So why is it that they were still feeling the separation? That is the question. Any idea? Is it a fair question to ask? How many of you have this question? Okay. How many of you, anybody wants to say some thoughts on what is how to resolve it?
Prabhuji, can I try?
Yeah, sure.
So, like, the separation that they're feeling is also actually joy. It's not really like the separation that we feel, and that separation kind of enhances the bhav that they are in. So it's not like they are like, I mean, materially sad because he's not there. Because I think there was that verse by Radharani where she's saying, "Okay, if he's in front of me, I only see him like this one, but if he's not here, I see him everywhere." So it's not as though like they're like really, I mean.
So basically, okay, very nice. So that's one answer. That is one valid answer. And please correct me if you can stay unmuted. Basically, what you're saying is that they are not feeling suffering or the pain. That's the point you're making. Internally,
Right.
deep down, they are not feeling the pain. It's a kind of joy or
uh,
hmm,
right. Some sort of like a relishment, but like not like pain.
not pain in that sense, but some sort of a relishment of the rasa of separation. Some
Ji.
in that space. Okay, yes. Anything else?
So, Prabhuji, can I try?
Yes, yes.
So like I was thinking, they're feeling the pain, like they cannot serve Krishna physically, like the Brahmana Patnis. I mean, they were also taking, I guess, they were thinking about Krishna. In that way, they are not separate from Krishna, but they were not able to serve Krishna.
Hmm.
So I was thinking that makes any sense.
So if I were to give a counter argument that they know that Krishna is Bhagavan, deep inside they know that. And if you want proof, there is so many proofs in that about that. You can find it in Gopi Geet, you can find it in Bhramar Geet. Gopi Geet is 20, what? 29 or 30. Let's see. This is Venu Geet. 31. And here there are many verses, but is there a verse here which shows that?
Text 5 only, Prabhuji, I can see. Which
Yeah,
holds the hand of Goddess of Fortune.
yes. And then there is 7 also, I think. Your lotus feet destroy the past sins of all embodied souls who surrender to them. There you go. Now, if Krishna for the gopis is just a human-like person, a boy, then how can surrendering to such a person destroy the past sins of all embodied souls? Right? So, yeah. So they know that Krishna is Bhagavan. Okay. Yeah, here. You are in the heart of all living entities. You are not actually this is the more direct one. You are not actually the son of the Gopi Yashoda, but rather the indwelling witness or Paramatma in the heart of all embodied souls. Gopis are singing this. So we cannot say that the Gopis are not aware. So Archi Mataji, I could say this response that Bhagwan you can serve, Bhagwan is everywhere. Right here it says you are in the heart of all embodied souls, which means in the heart of the Gopis also. They can serve him in so many ways, by not just by like feeding him with butter and milk and sweets, but they can serve him just like you would serve Bhagwan, I would say, by surrendering to him, by singing his prayers and stutis, and doing worship of his deity form, and so many things can be done to serve Bhagwan. Why you have to be physically like in that one Krishna who is not in Vraj but in Dwarka, that person has to physically come here and then I will feel the joy of serving. Why? He's Bhagwan. Why not?
So, yeah, Prabhuji, I understand, but I'm thinking like, suppose my mom, she is in India. I know, I mean, I have a, if she will be here, then I'll be more happy, Uh, I don't know how to explain that, but yeah.
Mom is not Paramatma, so there is a difference. But here, the difference is that Krishna, whom the gopis whom the gopis are so madly in love with, happens to be Paramatma.
Can I add, Prabhuji?
Yes.
I think that they cannot see the reciprocation.
Purposely trying to confuse, just to boil the milk, so to say, or to deepen the question, to thicken the plot. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, it's like they cannot see the reciprocation from Krishna's side when they are doing all the activities that Pachi Mataji is just saying, serving the Lord, and then they see the expression on Krishna's face, how he is feeling about it, and
Okay, so experiencing his reciprocation, it can be argued that Bhagwan can reciprocate even from a distance. All those things, right? Anyway, so I'm purposely just trying to confuse and offer arguments. But yes, as you can see, it's when that other person happens to be Bhagwan, then this physical presence aspect becomes less important because Bhagwan is Sarvavyapi. He is everywhere. So how do we make sense of that? Now we will see another verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is from Bhramar Geet. Now here also the gopis say that you are the Supreme Lord, but they also say one thing. So we will go to Bhramar Geet is 47, Song of the Bee. Verse number 44 we will go to, and let us see. So this verse is Apya eshyatiha dasharsa taptah swakritaya shucha sanjeevayan nuno gatrair yathendro vanamambudaihi. So the translation is, will that descendant of Dasharha, so that is Krishna, he is a descendant of Dasharha, return here? Eshyatiha means come back, to return. So he will, when will he, and will he come back here? And by the touch of his limbs, and the touch of his limbs is Gatraihi, by the touch of his limbs. Bring back to life Sanjeevayan, Sanjeeva, like, Sanjeevani Booty, which brought back to life Lakshmanji. That's why it is called Sanjeevani Booty, which Hanumanji brought. So Sanjeevayan, which means bring back the life into us. Bring back the life in those who are now burning with the grief he himself has caused. Taptaha, tapta means that fire, that burning, who are burning with that suffering, swakritya shucha, that with the pain which that same person has caused. So how can a person cause pain and that person be the solution or the removal of the pain? One answer is separation. By going away, he causes pain, but by coming back, he causes the remedy. So that is Krishna, who has gone away and he has caused the pain, And when will he come back and bring back the life of our which he has taken away? Will he save us in that way, just as Lord Indra, Yathendro Vanam Ambudaihi. Vana, which means in very hot summer, if you go to the forest, even the grass becomes like needles. It dries up and becomes like sharp needles. If you just cannot walk on it. If you walk, you will be like, it's like walking on thorns. So that grass has completely dried up and has become scorched and become big. That sweet grass on which you can lie like a bed is now like a bed of needles. That is the vanam. The van which is being shown here is like that scorched van, and with the clouds, Yathendro Ambudaihi, and when it brings the rain, then it converts that scorched forest back into the lush green forest. So in the same way, the important word here is Gatraihi, which means by his physical presence, by the touch of his limbs. So Gopis are saying here very clearly that nothing else will satisfy us other than his physical presence. And Sri Jiva Goswami gives this meaning that a scorched forest will not be revived simply by thundering of those clouds of Indra. What do they need to do? Will the thunder convert that scorched forest into a lush green forest? What does it need to do?
They need
Rain.
rain down.
Physical rain is needed. The thundering sound or light is not good enough. You need the physical contact of the rain or the cloud as the water with the soil. The physical contact is what causes the magic. And that is the analogy that is given here. And therefore, they are saying this whole taking the name and all is like the thundering of clouds. And it does not do any good to us. We need real rain. We need the touch of Krishna's limbs. So why is that? Why is that? So that is what we are discussing. Okay. Any other thoughts before we move forward? So that is sort of the area of discussion in separation that I wanted to discuss today. Okay. So the understanding that we have through our acharyas is as follows. Okay. So please pay attention and I will share what understanding I have obtained. So first we have to understand the spiritual pastimes in the aprakat, prakash, and the pastimes, the same pastimes that occur in the prakat, prakash, or in the manifest form. So the pastimes are always eternally going on in the aprakat prakash. Okay, are you following? It's like the pastimes are going on. We had a nice series by Harivansh Prabhu, and he went into this whole discussion of union and separation. And I liked the way he put it. The drama is always going on behind the curtain, eternally. But we cannot see it because the stage is covered by the curtain. Once in a while, the curtain opens. Not really it opens. The drama is always going on behind the curtains. The actors come out of the curtain and then they enact the same pastime and we can see. And then they go back behind the curtain and continue their pastimes. Okay. So while the pastimes are going on in front of the curtain that we can see, at the same time they are going on behind the curtain also. So the behind the curtain, aprakat prakash, pastimes are happening eternally, continuously. Okay, so that needs to be understood first to understand this discussion. Now, the point that is made is that in the aprakat prakash, there is eternal union. There is no separation. Okay. Are you following? And now there is a semblance of separation, which means that there is as if apparent or imminent separation. Oh, separation is going to happen. Then there is anxiety in the hearts of Sri Krishna or Sri Radha or the Gopis. So there is anxiety of separation, but actual separation does not occur in the aprakat Vrindavan. The separation only occurs in prakat Lila or prakata prakash. In fact, it is said that Krishna is completely powerless. He does not even have the power. Even if he wants separation in the aprakat prakash, he is not powerful enough to cause separation with his topmost, with his purest devotees like the Gopis. He's incapable of causing, even though he's Bhagavan, he cannot separate himself from his devotees. He does not have the power to do so. The devotees are more powerful than Krishna in this regard. Aham bhakta paradhina. So he's paradhin. Swatantra hi dvija. I am aswatantra. He is not independent in this matter. He is under the control of his devotees. So he is powerless to cause separation. All right. Is so far so good? Now, let us see just a small jump into a different concept. We'll connect these concepts. I'm explaining something nice. At least I found it nice conceptually. Okay. So we started with what was the question we started with? Shamlila Mataji, can you summarize the question we started with?
Ji Prabhuji, that if there is non-difference between name and the named, I mean there is, then why were the gopis feeling separation? Like why could they not just chant his name and feel him there?
Correct. And then what was the second step we discussed? It's not connected yet, I will connect, but what was the next topic we discussed?
The aprakat Lila, where the Lila is always like there's no separation, it's always going on.
It's always, so there's only union in aprakat Lila. There is only semblance or anxiety of separation. So that aspect of separation is there, but it actually does not happen.
Ji.
Now, third point. Again, it seems to be disconnected, but it will all connect in the end. And the third point is Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi. Okay. And this is also luckily in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. As I said, many of the important verses of Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu are in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we have Atah Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyahi sevon mukhehi jivhadav swayameva sfuratyadaha. What is the essence of this verse? Essence of this verse, who can say? If you have done Bhakti Shastri, you should be able.
That we cannot grasp his name, form, quality, pastime with our like material senses. And he will awaken, like he will, when our senses are purified, Krishna will give him as mercy the awakened understanding of the...
Everything is very good. One starting point should also be mentioned. The first thing is that the name of Krishna, name Adi, which means Nam, Roop, Gun, Leela, everything is spiritual. That's the first point.
Ji.
In nature, isn't it? Krishna's name is spiritual. Otherwise, I can as well say iPhone, iPhone, iPhone. This is a material piece of whatever, plastic, silicon, whatever you may consider. Isn't it? So Krishna's name is spiritual. And the question that this verse answers, Atah Shri Krishna Namadi, is that our tongue, our body with which we are chanting the name, right, is made of matter, material. It's a material body made of the tongue, the vocal cords, whatever it is. How is it possible that by moving some material objects like the tongue and the throat or whatever, some spiritual result is obtained? Because if you say that Nam is also material, then why are we chanting the name? We can as well give it up, right? Why should we chant anything material? But Nam is not material, it is spiritual. That's the answer. Then the question comes, how is it possible that vibrating your material tongue or your material vocal cords, a spiritual result can be manifested? How can something material cause something spiritual? Not possible. So how can chanting of the name, the syllables of the name, Krishna, Rama, Hare, how can it be anything spiritual? It's just, frequencies of sound. That is what this verse answers, that when we do it with seva unmukta, with a mood of seva, with a mood of surrender and service, then the Lord makes the spiritually potent Nam, which is non-different, abhinnatvan nama namino, that spiritual name appear on the material platform. He makes it appear. The spiritual entity, Bhagavan, can do anything. He can appear in the material realm. We cannot make him appear. But if he wants, he can appear. So we are just crying out by chanting the name and inviting him to appear and waiting. And if we do it nicely, that is sevon mukhe, he jivhadau, jivha adi, because we may chant with our jivha, we can chant with our mind, we can also chant with our heart. So jivha adau, etc. Bhagavan himself, Swayam, appears on our material organs like heart, mind, tongue, etc. He himself appears, and that he can do. Okay? So that is the understanding. So Shamlila Mataji, the name, first question, the name is material or spiritual?
Spiritual.
Wonderful. So now from this we understand that the name is spiritual, and when you do it with seva unmukta, what appears on our material organs?
The spiritual name, like the name that is a spiritual entity.
Very good. The spiritual name and appears on our material organ. Correct?
Ji.
And that spiritual name is equal to who?
Krishna.
All right. So that spiritual name is equal to Krishna. Correct?
Ji.
Now, and which Krishna is he equal to? Obviously, he is equal to the spiritual Krishna.
Right.
There's nothing like material Krishna, right? That is abhinnatvam. So Nam is spiritual. Krishna is also spiritual. Correct?
Ji.
Okay. Now, if we go back, so we are, I hope you can see some light at the end of the tunnel. So the Gopis can experience the spiritual Krishna by taking the name. Gopis are completely seva unmukh, yes or no?
Ji, Prabhuji.
There cannot be anybody more seva unmukh than Gopis. So when they are taking the name, who appears on their tongue?
Krishna.
Krishna appears on their tongue. Absolutely, he appears. No doubt, according to this verse that we are seeing on this page, on the screen. And the previous verse that we discussed, Abhinnatvan Nama Namino. So by putting these together, Krishna does appear on their material platform. But what happens? And so we'll go to, now we go to our famous Kurukshetra Lila here. So just stay with me. I'm connecting many points here. So let's go to Kurukshetra Lila, which also we had covered. So that is in 10th canto, 82, chapter number 82. So now Krishna is meeting the gopis specifically. First he went and met all the kings and all that. Then he goes and meets Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba. And finally he comes and meets the gopis. And finally within even the gopis, he comes and meets Srimati Radharani. Yes? So what does Krishna tell them to the gopis? Does he say, I'm so sorry, I was away for such a long time and now I'm not going to leave you, like those kind of things? Or what does he say? And
No,
here
he gives them Gyan Yog, like, I'm always in your heart type. Whatever Uddhav ji said, basically a repetition.
Perfect. Same thing as Uddhav ji says in the Bhramar Geet 47, after Krishna has just left. Uddhav ji also said in 10.47, Krishna also says in 10.82. And what are both of them trying to remind the gopis of?
His Aishwarya?
Aishwarya, but yes, the spiritual Krishna. That he is either everywhere as the Supreme Brahman, Parabrahma, or as the Paramatma. He is always there in the heart. And he is the Supreme Lord, and he brings all the beings together and then separates them. And all these aspects, Krishna himself is reminding the gopis about. And therefore, I have never been separated from you, and so on. So the point is that the gopis do experience the spiritual Krishna. The gopis absolutely experience the spiritual Krishna at such moments, and they do get relief. So similarly, on chanting the name and when being reminded that Krishna is always there, and because they are chanting with 100 million% seva unmukta, there is nobody in the whole universe who can chant with more purity and with more intensity than the gopis, not even Brahmaji. So the moment they even think of Krishna, what to speak of chanting, the moment even thought, Krishna is always there with the gopis. There is no doubt about it. But the point is that this experience of the gopis of Krishna, in the experience of the gopis, that experience is covered by Yogamaya. Yogamaya most of the time does not allow the gopis to experience that union of themselves with the Supreme or the Aishwarya Krishna, the Supreme Lord Krishna. They do not experience that. They take the name, but they say, where is he? He's not here. So they have to be reminded. Uddhav ji comes and reminds. Then they get some relief. Even though not full relief, they do get some relief at the time. And then again they forget. And then again they go back to their apparent suffering. Just like the example that is given is like of dreams. Have you ever had a bad dream, Shamlila Mataji?
Ji Prabhuji.
And then sometimes, like I always get bad dreams about two things. I can share. I'm not going to ask you about your bad dreams, but mine are, they're fairly funny. One is that there's an exam tomorrow and I don't even know the syllabus.
Oh my God, that happens to me all the time still.
And I'm like going to my, I still remember the dorm where I used to in the college, and I'm going to my friends. Can you tell me which chapters are included in the exam? And in the exam is like half an hour away. Even if somebody tells me chapter numbers 12, 13, and 14, What can I do in half an hour? And I'm like totally in absolute panic. And then suddenly eyes open. And then I realize, thank goodness it was just a dream. I'm in Portland and, it's the middle of the night. There is no exam going on and I can go back to sleep, right? Happens. And then I go back to sleep peacefully, have a good sleep. The other, by the way, thing is that the train, in India, it's not like the trains in the US. In India, the trains, when they stop on the railway station, they stop for 10-15 minutes. You can get off, you can buy a samosa, have a cup of tea, buy a Pepsi Cola or Coca-Cola, whatever, go have some water and come back to your seat. And then I get down, and as I am turning away, I have paid the samosa wala and I'm turning back and the train has left the station. And I'm like completely devastated. All my luggage is gone and, I have no money and nothing. So those are my bad dreams. And then I get up and I find that, no, I'm not on a railway station. I'm in my bed. So in the same way, but then I go back to sleep again. Maybe another dream starts. So in the same way, the gopis are suffering. Okay, now it's not a dream. It's just an analogy. The analogy applies only to the portion that there is suffering going on. There is momentary periods of relief and the suffering may continue. That is the only part of the analogy to be taken. Not that it's a dream, that when the gopis here in the prakat prakash, in the prakat lila, when they are suffering because of separation of Krishna, there is temporary relief, but that relief is true relief because in that moment they are reminded, oh, I'm not really in this situation. I am in a completely different situation. Krishna, because he is spiritual, is always with me. And they experience Krishna's presence, but then they again forget that. Yogamaya covers them. They again forget and they suffer, or they experience the suffering again. Are you following so far? I hope you are. So that is why in the prakat prakash, the gopis experience the suffering because of the covering of Yogamaya. And whenever they are reminded, the suffering actually does go away, but it comes back. So why this whole concept of going away, coming back? Why? It sounds like a game. Why is it like that? Now for that, in the prakat prakash, there are 3 reasons why this happens. The first one is to have that pleasure or to please Krishna, and Krishna to please. Why does Krishna go away? Cause the separation. Ultimately, we saw the verse, right? That he was the cause, Swayam Kritaha. He is the one who caused the separation. The gopis didn't send him away that you should go. He went away because he knows that the gopis' intensity of their attachment or their attraction to Krishna will increase if he goes away towards him. And his intensity towards the gopis will also increase due to the separation. So to increase that intensity, Krishna goes away. And then so this is the internal reason, and there are 2 external reasons, one internal. So this is between themselves to increase, to boil the water or to boil the milk to the point when it, kind of explodes, or the union then is just intense, like we discussed last time. The more the separation, the more intense is the union. So that is one reason. There are 2 external reasons. One is in separation, we are able to see the true nature of the bhakti of the gopis. In modern world, what happens if the husband leaves the wife or wife leaves the husband? Maybe for a few months there is sadness. Then you will see, oh, the husband remarried somebody else, or the wife remarried somebody else, and is almost as happy or even more happier than before. So what happened to that previous, so to say, the previous love? One can question, was it as intense, or is this one more intense? But that does not happen with the gopis at all. So to teach us about the intensity of Krishna prema, the unconditionality of that prema, come union, come separation, come what may, their prema for Sri Krishna, their intense hankering, their intense love for Sri Krishna does not change. It does not waver. So to teach us about Uttama Bhakti, about that Gadha Krishna prema, the Lord causes this separation. And the third reason is to give devotees so many wonderful topics to talk about and to meditate upon. Because this whole separation and all is there, we are doing this series on Dantavakra Lila. Otherwise, if everything was just Brahman and all that, there's not much to talk about. So as devotees, by all these Leelas, Krishna gives us so many wonderful topics to contemplate on, to meditate on, to think about, and to talk about. Bodhayantaha parasparam, kathayantascha mam nityam, tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So, to allow us to do paraspar bodhayantaha, paraspar bodha, mutual conversation, discussion, and have nice Krishna katha, and to give us joy, Krishna enacts these pastimes. Okay. So that is the answer. So now we connected. So again, to summarize, we started off with a question. All right. So again, I will request your help, Shamlila Mataji. What was the question?
That why do they still feel the separation when Nam and Nami are the same?
And then we said Nam and Nami are the same. And we also said that at what level they are the same?
Spiritual level.
The spiritual level they are the same. Okay, because Nam, when we say that Nam, which is abhinna from Nami, is the spiritual Nam. It's not a material Nam like Chintu, Pintu and all that. So it's the spiritual Nam. And then we said that, do the gopis experience the union upon taking?
Yes.
Yes.
But they forget because Yogmaya kind of like covers it.
Covers them. Yeah. So they do experience the abhinnatva, the non-difference of the Nam and the Nami. But that experience is temporary for the gopis, not for the devotees. As devotees, if we really do with Seva Unmukta, Bhagavan will not deprive us. He will not cover us with Yogamaya. We are not gopis. So for us, he will let it, hopefully, if he is merciful, which he is, he will let that remain. But in the case of the gopis, he would cover it. And a nice way of understanding is like a bad dream. And immediately, sometimes we come out of it, feel happy that, oh, this is not really the case. The real case is I am happily sleeping in my bed. But we go back and maybe again suffer in the dream. Okay, so there are those temporary moments of realization that, no, actually I am always united with Krishna. There is never any separation. And we also discussed that in aprakat prakash, there is no separation, only semblance of separation. Anxiety of potential separation. But actual separation does not happen. It only happens in prakat prakash or prakat lila. And then we discussed finally that why does then in prakat prakash or prakat lila, why the suffering happens? Because we said suffering happens, and at least in between there may be relief. like getting up from the dream, but the rest of it is suffering and separation. Why it is there? We discussed that Lord does it for 3 reasons. What was the first reason?
The internal reason is to like heighten their bhava
Yes, both.
and
Not
his and theirs both. Yeah.
he is also suffering.
Ji.
It is not like he is only the giver of suffering. It is like saying, let us suffer together. Okay, so he leaves, he knows he's going to suffer terribly, and he makes them suffer also, but it intensifies the prema. Next one.
It is to show like what real love really is like it's like you said, gave the example, it's not like one person moved on and then it's just not like that. It's what real emotions really are.
To show the unconditionality of the topmost love or Krishna of prema, Uttama Bhakti. And the third,
I thought third one was Uttama Bhakti. I thought third one was like to show
Bodhayantah Parasparam. That is second. All of that is second one. To show Uttama Bhakti, which is Krishna Prema, the topmost unconditional Krishna Prema. That whole thing
right.
is one. Uttama Bhakti is unconditional Krishna Prema. They are one and the same.
Ji.
Third
Sorry.
is
Bodhayantas Parasparam.
give us lots and lots of topics to
Leela, discussion, Chintan.
Chintan, Manan, and Kathan.
Ji.
So that is the whole discussion we did today. Okay. Any comments? Now I can unpack a whole new topic today, but it may take time and the class will overflow. So I won't do that, and I will just give you the trailer of that. We can do it next time. Is that okay? And that is, the question can arise. Krishna does not come to Vraj, right, for so long, to Vrindavan. Correct? Are bhai, if Krishna cannot come, then what could have happened? What was the other alternative?
They could have gone.
They could have gone. So do the gopis go to Dwarka?
I mean, yes, but that's not mentioned in Bhagavatam.
So yes means what? In the Jagannath pastime, the Jagannath Rath Yatra, you are connecting?
With the Jagannath Yatra also, Prabhuji, but then according to that, Bhagwan also comes to Vrindavan, because I think it was like in verse 155, he's saying that because of like Sri Narayan's mercy, I come there every day, but you cannot see me. So technically then with that, he also goes.
155 means Padyavali or?
No, 13 Madhya Lila, the Rath Yatra chapter 13, 155. So there he's saying that because of like the blessings of Narayan, I come there every day, but you cannot like see me. Or
Oh, I did not catch that. Okay, so Madhya Lila, let me share. That's thank you for bringing up the topic. Which chapter? 13?
13 verse 155.
Is it the Yah Kamaram?
Nahi, Prabhuji, it starts with Mora Bhagya.
Okay, so very nice. So we will be part of Rath Yatra. We will be discussing the Yah Kaumaram verse also, and that we will do next time. But then, so kindly read the translation.
Our love affair is more powerful because of my good fortune in receiving Narayan's grace. This allows me to come there unseen by others. I hope that very soon I will be visible to everyone.
So Krishna is saying this to
Srimati Radharani, like Mahaprabhu, but Srimati Radharani.
Yes, that I will come where?
To Vraja.
Yeah, okay. That, so,
So like basically what I understood he's saying is that I come to Vraj. So she asks him that why are we not dead and we are separated. So he says, no, do you even remember us? He says, no, I remember you. I prayed to Lord Narayan and I come. That's what I understood. Maybe I completely misunderstood. And I come there every evening or like whatever, every day. But you guys cannot see me or you cannot perceive me, but I come there.
yeah, so this is about Krishna coming to Vrindavan.
Right.
Yes. And then in the previous verse, like here it is written, by his merciful potency, I come to Vrindavan every day to enjoy pastimes with you. I then return to Dwarka.
Right.
You can always feel my presence there in Vrindavan. So Krishna is saying, the question now is, do the Gopis visit Dwarka?
I think in the Padyavali they do, and there's also, or maybe it's Brihad Bhagavatamrit where there's that whole concept of Nava Vrindavan being installed um, in Dwarka.
Yes. So anyway, so in the Bhagavatam and I don't think even in the other Puranas, so in the writings of Sri Vedavyas, the Gopis do not visit Dwarka. Or at least in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not there. Let's stay there. So then the question becomes, why didn't the Gopis go to Dwarka? If they were so much hankering to meet Sri Krishna, why not just go to Dwarka and just satisfy your your hankering, and just outpour and then come back and let it build up, just like between two lovers who are distant. Sometimes this person visits her lover, sometimes he visits his, it kind of, both keep doing their part. So that is the question we will unpack next time. Okay. And one more question after that, if time permits. So there are some of these big questions. And here, basically, the point is to relish. That's the main point. To relish the bhava of Srimati Radharani and the Gopis, because they are the topmost devotees. And who are we? We are also aspiring devotees. We are sadhakas. And they are our, so to say, role models. It's a, very, very, it underestimate or whatever. It's a very small word, but they are our, they are up there. They are showing us what absolute topmost bhakti to Sri Krishna is. If we can get even 0.0001% of the amount of their love for Sri Krishna, we'll be so blessed. So to understand their love is very important for us so that we can make progress in our bhakti. And that is why we are trying to understand their mood, their bhava, and so on. And these are very important aspects of our understanding of the mood of the topmost devotees of Sri Krishna, which are the Gopis. So today we discussed this about the Nam and the Nami. And why do they still feel the separation? Next time we will discuss why didn't they go to Dwarka and quench their thirst, or at least somewhat satisfy their hankering. Okay, we will stop there. Any comments, any other questions, comments, anyone? Please feel free to share. If not, then Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Prabhuji, sorry, would it be like rasabhasa if they like went there with all the Aishwarya?
We'll discuss.
Okay, sorry.
It's good to have that.
It's a cliffhanger.
All right. Okay. Well, it's all there in the Shastras. And Huh? It's there in all the scriptures. I'm not inventing anything new. Who am I? So it's not there in just my mind. It's I have just picked up the, with my limited understanding and with my broken mind, I have just picked up the scraps that I could find from the magnificent scriptures and the writings, and I'm just sharing a little bit for my own purification. Yes, please invest the time in diving into the Shastra, as you already do, I know that. And please continue to relish. You don't have to wait for the next class. Maybe you can give the next class.
No, Prabhuji. No. But here, Komaram, that verse is from Padyavali when they're talking. So sorry, I'm sorry.
Yes, it is very much connected to that. And it's from the Padyavali. Absolutely correct. And it is, for those who may not have Padyavali, it is mentioned in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita as well.
Ji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Sorry, I kind of took away the discussion.
No, that's nice. You added more spice to the cliffhanger, if it was a cliffhanger at all. Okay. Jagat.
Thank you so much. Panchang pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, Mataji. Hare Krishna.